Hello, mighty companions. Welcome to Facebook Live. Earl Purdy, A Course in Miracles. We're going to do the Course in Miracles, and we're going to be talking about the function of time. We're going to be talking about the best way to use time. How do you use time? And what's the purpose of time? And how can you really be blessed through your use and understanding of time? And so before we get into that, I always like to start out with my brother John Christmas, reminding us the truth of who we really are. And this music is at www.johnchristmas.com. And it's one of the Course in Miracles workbook lessons, and it's my favorite. I am not a victim of the world I see. And that ain't it. Oh, I know. Then you get a chance to hear a little bit of it. You get a chance to hear all of it. Dun 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 dun. There's never been. I love my ego. There we go. I'm the victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim, no, of the world I see. I'm not a victim of my all. I'm not a victim of my part. I'm not a victim of events, circumstance at all. I'm not a victim, of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. Oh Lord, I'm not a victim of the future, not a victim of the past, not a victim of anything that really doesn't last. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. Oh yeah. Boom, 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 boom. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim, no, of the world I see. Yeah. I'm Earl Purdy. Want to welcome you to Course in Miracles here on Facebook Live. We're going to focus on the practical application of the course. And we're going to be talking about the function of time. The function of time on page 245 in the text. 245 in the Course in Miracles text. I'm not a victim of the North. I'm not a victim of the South. Not a victim of anything. Say what comes out my mouth. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. I've done some good stuff to me. Yeah. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim, no, of the world I see. Woo! Just remember that you need not believe it. You need not accept it. You need not even welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. And some of the ideas you will find hard to believe. And some of the ideas may be quite startling. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. Oh yeah. Yeah. Brother John, I'm not a victim of the world I see. Say that to yourself. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. When you're looking at the news or hearing about the news or someone's talking to you about what's going on in the world, remind yourself, say, I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. If you're in a relationship right now, and that relationship is a relationship that you're causing yourself any kind of pain, tell yourself, I'm not a victim of this relationship that I see. I'm not a victim of this relationship. If you see yourself as being in a financial situation that you're using to cause yourself fear, go, I am not a victim of my financial situation. I am not a victim of my health situation. So in order to make this real, in order to make the Course in Miracles real, I'm Earl Purdy. My focus is on what the Course in Miracles says we should be focused on. We're on page 245, the function of time and the foundation for inner peace version of A Course in Miracles. If you have the books and you have it handy, I think you get a lot out of going along with me.
What chapter is
Uh,
that? Yeah, because I have the annotated.
yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I use it, the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles because it's the one that most people have. And in this 40 years of working with the Course, I'm going to tell you what the secret is. What is the secret, Almighty One? The secret is all you have to do is remember what it's saying. All you have to do is remember what it's saying, because if you learn to remember what it's saying, you know exactly how to interpret whatever is happening in your life. The Course in Miracles gives you new interpretations of everything that's happening in your life. The Course in Miracles gives you a new interpretation of everything that's happening. And when you get a new interpretation of it, you feel better, especially if you get a new interpretation that's coming from truth. A new interpretation that's coming from love. So I am especially here for those who want to take advantage of my 40 years of obsession with the Course in Miracles, doing it full time, teaching it, studying it. So my job is to save you time. The Course in Miracles says you shouldn't be in a relationship that's not saving you time. That the purpose of a relationship is to save you time. How can you tell if a relationship is saving you time? You're happy in it. You're peaceful in it. You feel grateful for it. That's how you can tell when you're wasting your time versus when you are using your time in a relationship to your advantage. So what happens if you're using it correctly? If you're using it correctly, there's much more peace in it. There's much more love in it. So it starts out by saying, I'm going to do the Course in Miracles in plain language. I want you to understand that this is only talking about love or fear. How do you get past the fear? How do you get past the anxiety? How do you get past the conflict? Now it's going to start out, guess what it's going to start out by teaching us? It's going to start out by teaching us why you are afraid of the Course. The Course is saying, why are you afraid of the Course? Why are you afraid of the truth? It says, because it's a course on love. And since it's a course on love, the Course says it's about you. So anything that's about love is about you. Anything that's about love is about you, because you are love. You are free. You are love means you are free. You are love means you are free. So you are love. You are free. And the Course in Miracles says, I'm going to tell you about you, and you are love. But the one thing that you all are afraid of is what? Love. And so what is it, the two things that the Course in Miracles has been telling us? It says, this is your function. You have two functions. It says you've been told that your function in the world is healing. So your function in the world heals you, and your function in the world is healing. So what I'm going to do as I go through this, I'm going to give you the Course in Miracles definitions of some of these terms so that you will hear what it's really saying. Because I'm a teacher, I'm not a preacher. So I'm really here to teach it. And so that's what I'm going to be focusing in on more and more and more in my classes. It's going to be really, really like, how do you really understand what this book is saying, and how can you give me some tips on how I can hear it better? And so the Course in Miracles is saying to you that your function in the world is healing. Healing is ending fear. The Course in Miracles defines healing as undoing fear. So your function here is to undo fear. Your function here is to undo fear, and your function here is to learn how to have your fear or anxiety undone. So does that mean if you're feeling any kind of fear right now, the most healing thing you could do is learn how to get rid of that fear and undo that fear? Yes. And your function in heaven is creating. So what is heaven? The Course says heaven is perfect joy. It's our reality. Our reality, what is our true reality? What is your true reality is so off the chain in love and joy and goodness that the Course in Miracles calls it heaven. So in your reality, you create. So here we heal, but in our reality, we are creators. You are a creator. You are a creator. But before you can be a creator, you have to be a healer. So a healer is someone who is undoing their fear and also being used to help undo the fear of others. So if I'm raising hell and making everybody around me afraid of me, I'm not fulfilling my function as a healer. If I'm a healer, I'm bringing more peace into the situation. If I'm not a healer, I just bring more chaos and hell and anger and guilt into the situation. That's deep. So I'm going to also do something real quick, and we're going to deal with the ego. The ego. What is the ego? The Course in Miracles says that the ego is the thought that you have about yourself. It's a fearful thought. That your ego is the part of your mind that believes in guilt and grievances and separation and fear. Let me throw a question out to you. Have you ever put yourself down? Have you ever judged yourself, saw yourself as insecure, saw yourself as inadequate, felt like you have been a victim, that you've been mistreated in some way? Have you ever had a voice in your mind that told you you were not going to be successful at what you were trying to do? Do you have a voice in your mind that sometimes tells you that you're guilty and you don't deserve to be loved? Okay, I got the feeling that everybody's in agreement. Okay, that is what the Course in Miracles calls the ego. The ego is the part of you that's always telling you stuff that makes you feel afraid or inadequate or separate. So whenever it says the ego, it's not talking about some external thing outside of yourself that's doing something to you. It's talking about the part of your own programming that's geared toward you not being enough and you not being loved and you not being the perfect being that you are. It's your fearful thought. I like to call it the voice inside my head. So the Course in Miracles is so as we go through this, I'm going to make it easy by that noise is going to show up on the thing. Okay, it's so sensitive. Okay, so you have been told that your function in this world is healing and your function in heaven is creating. So there's a part of your mind that teaches you that your function on earth is destruction. That all you do is mess up stuff. There's a part of us that tells us, all you do is mess up. You try to have a relationship, you destroy it. You try to have a good new job, you destroy it. All you do is just mess stuff up. And so the Course in Miracles says you also have a voice that's telling you, you don't really have any function in heaven. You don't have a function in love. You don't have a function in heaven. And so there's a part of you that would like to destroy you and bury you right here. This is hardcore. So don't forget, what are the guidelines in the Course? That you need not believe it, you need not accept it, you need not welcome it. Some of it you may actively resist, some of it you're going to find hard to believe, some of it's going to startle you. And it says you're not asked to judge and analyze it, that if you use it, then it will give itself meaning to you and show you that the ideas are true. So let's just be real. There's a part of us that can be negative as I don't know what. That part of us that can be negative about us is the part of us that wants to destroy us. And the Course says there's a part of you that wants to bury you even here. And you know there's a part of you that wants to bury you here because you have the life insurance policy to prove it. There are literally those of us who want to be buried here. So for somebody to say that's not true, that is true. There is a part of you that thinks you're probably going to be buried here. And the Course in Miracles says there's a part of you that tells you that you don't have any inheritance except the body out of which it thinks you were made. In other words, the only thing that you really have is your body. That's what you are is your body, and what you have is your body. And then the Course in Miracles says what? As long as that part of you is reasonably satisfied with you as this reasoning goes, it offers you oblivion. But when the part of you that doesn't love you, the part of you that tries to make you wary and be afraid, the Course says when that part becomes overtly savage, it offers you hell, which is fear. So there's a part of the mind when it thinks that you do not deserve love that tries to offer you fear every way possible. So the Course in Miracles says there's a part of your mind that wants to make you afraid. There's a part of your mind that tries to keep you feeling fear, worry, anxiety, anger, lack, sickness, and upset. That's the truth. Have you ever been in touch with the part of your mind that absolutely wants to make you feel bad and afraid about everything? Okay, the Course in Miracles says that that's your ego. So are we clear that when I say ego, who we talking about and what we're talking about? Don't make it complicated. The ego is the part of you that makes you afraid of stuff. It makes you wary about stuff. That part of your mind that thinks it's separate from God. It's the part of your mind that thinks you're separate from God. The ego is the part of your mind that thinks you're separate from love, that thinks you're separate from peace, that thinks you're separate from what you want, which is your happiness and your love. But the Course in Miracles, I'm gonna do something deep today because this is one of the most intense sections in the book. And one of the things that I was wanting to be clear about was how Spirit wanted me to teach this, because I've done this for so many years. So I already know the sections of the Course that produce usually the greatest resistance and the greatest temptation to go unconscious. And this is what this section is, because it so pegs our ego that we'll say we don't understand it or to make us try to tune out. Okay? So I would much rather just make sure that we can kind of like go, okay, I don't have to believe this, but let me just give it to me. Just tell me what it's saying, whether I believe it or not. Is that fair enough? Yeah, whether I believe it or not, or whether I get it or not, just tell me what it's saying in plain language. It's saying that fear or oblivion is not unacceptable to us as love is. The Course in Miracles says that nothing we go through is less acceptable to us than love. The Course in Miracles says we're more afraid of love than anything. We'll go through fear, anger, and guilt and lack and still won't love each other. And that's exactly what we see in the world. No matter what's going on in the world right now, the thing that you don't hear on the news is let's love each other, let's love each other, let's love each other. You hear everything but that. And that's what the Course in Miracles to me is saying. Neither oblivion nor hell is unacceptable to us as heaven is, as love is. And he says our definition of heaven is hell. He says our definition of love is hell. Our definition of love is fear. And then it says the real heaven, which is the real love, real love, real love. He says it's the greatest threat that we think we could experience. That's deep. He's saying the thing that's most threatening to me is love. Nobody frightens me more than somebody. There's a part of my mind that gets more frightened by the idea of love than any other idea you could possibly give me. There's a part of me that feels threatened and afraid when someone speaks to me of loving me, or even me speaking of me is loving me. Sometimes when I say stuff like loving myself, when I say I'm going to love myself, sometimes my ego tells me that that's egotistical. That it's okay to try to love all you all, but if I say I love Earl, and I think Earl is incredible, and I think Earl is awesome, and I think Earl, there's a part of me that said, well, you're being arrogant. You know, that I'm being arrogant when I say good things about myself, and I'm being humble when I put myself down. And the Course in Miracles, guess what it's telling me? It said, no, actually you're being arrogant when you put yourself down, because when you put yourself down, it means you're seeing yourself differently from the way God sees you, and God sees you as totally perfect and deserving love. So you're being arrogant because you think what you think of you is really and truly what God thinks of you. And the Course in Miracles says, that's an arrogant son of a gun. I'm telling you that you're the most perfect, beautiful love thing that's ever been created, and you want to say you're not enough, inadequate, insecure, guilty, and don't deserve to be happy. You're the one that's arrogant. And so there's a bunch of you out there, you're arrogant. I want to tell you, those of you who are putting yourself down and not loving yourself and criticizing and judging yourself, stop being arrogant. Stop being arrogant. So the Course in Miracles says, well, where did hell and oblivion, where did the idea of fear and anger come from? The Course in Miracles says, ta-da, you made it up. What? You made up hell. Hell is made up. Hell isn't a reality. Hell is made up. You're making up the idea of hell, which is, of course, the same way of saying you're making up your fears. You're making up your guilt. You're making up your insecurity. The Course in Miracles says hell and oblivion are ideas that you made up. And then he says, not only am I making up the idea that I deserve to suffer, or that I believe in fear, or I believe in hell. He says, I'm hell-bent on demonstrating that fear is real. That I am going to demonstrate to you that things can be as bad as I say they are. I'm going to demonstrate to you that I can be hurt, that things can't go right for me. And as a matter of fact, if I doubt that I'm wrong about that, then I'm really doubting my whole reality, because I think I am insecure. I think things don't go right for me all the time. So actually, if I don't establish that I'm right about that by showing you how broke I am and showing you how sick I am and telling you about how horrible my relationships are, I've got to prove to you that I'm right. I've got to show you that I'm right about how bad my life is. So I'm hell-bent on proving to you that my fears are real, my insecurities are real. So if I have a fear that I can only be lied to and mistreated by a woman, and I'm hell-bent on making that image of myself true, then I'm going to do everything I can to form relationships with women who disappoint me and seem to hurt me in some way, because that makes me right. It's a dumb way to be right. It's an unsatisfied way to be right. But I'm hell-bent on demonstrating the reality of hell, because I think that establishes my reality. I'm the one that suffers. So therefore, I have to suffer to prove the idea that I suffer is who I am. Is everybody following me with this? You know, if I see myself as a black person that is oppressed and the victim of everything and everybody around me, then I've got to constantly create situations in my life that I look like I'm a victim all the time. So it'll always look like somebody's doing something to me just because of the color of my skin, because my sense of identity is that I'm this oppressed black man that's always got something going wrong because of the color of his skin. So the Course in Miracles is saying whatever your idea of yourself is, you're going to try to prove that, even if it's an idea of yourself that's not very helpful and not very loving. So if I question the way you see yourself, he says if their reality is questioned, you believe that yours is. So if I believe fear and hell is what I go through in my life, and I've been trying to demonstrate that that's true, and you turn around and question that. So how do you question somebody who's got a negative, how do you question somebody who's got a negative self-image, and how do you make sure that person doesn't keep having that negative self-image? This is how you do it. You don't share it. In other words, if you think that you can't be loved and that nobody can treat you right or nobody can care about you, but then I do love you and I do treat you right and I do care about you, then I am threatening your belief about yourself. And so if I don't see you the way that you see you, then it's making a lie out of the way you see yourself. If you say you can't be loved and I'm loving you, I just made you out of a lie when you said you can't be loved. So you got to avoid me. Why? Because I'm loving you. I'm treating you really cool. I'm a really cool person. And all I said to people is very cool things, but I don't necessarily see people busting down my door trying to communicate with me all the time. Because if I'm telling you something you don't believe about yourself, you really think I'm lying to you. So you stay away from me. Oh, Earl, you said you love me, but that's not really real. Besides that, you say that to everybody. You're going to discount it if it's not what you think you deserve. But the person that says you don't deserve love, something is wrong with you, and they're criticizing and judging you, and you also criticize and judge yourself all the time, then you're going to be attracted to that person, because to you, that person is telling you the truth. They are witnessing to your reality as you have defined it. So you go toward the people who treat you the way you believe you deserve to be treated. You always go toward the people who treat you the way you think you deserve to be treated. So as you think you deserve to be treated with love, you'll make time for the loving beings. If you think you don't deserve love, you'll find you always got time to be with the people who don't acknowledge you and love you. But for some reason, you just quite never have the time to get with the people who treat you nice. See, the Course in Miracles is not difficult. It's just different. Because the Course in Miracles says, if somebody says back to us the way we think, it sounds unbelievable to us. And it sounds crazy to us. He says, what happens is nobody puts our whole thought system together and then says it back to us. But when someone says the way we think back to us, it sounds crazy. Like it sounds crazy to think you come up with the idea of hell for yourself. It sounds crazy to think you defend negative attitudes about yourself. But you know it's the truth. You know you've done it. You know you're still probably doing it in some areas of your life. So the Course in Miracles says you believe that attack is your reality. So what does that mean? It means that I'm in a reality where I think I can be attacked. I'm in a reality where I think I can be hurt. Isn't that what we're seeing on the news and the paper and everything around us right now? Every day, isn't the thought that's being reinforced is how much we can be hurt and how vulnerable we are? So we think what? We are in a reality where we can be hurt. That is not a way out complicated idea. We think we're in a place where we can be hurt, right? Right? So he says it right here. Attack is your reality. And guess what your destruction is? Guess what your death is? It's the final proof that you were right. You see, if I believe that I can be destroyed and then I die, then I've just proved that I'm absolutely right, that my reality is destruction. If I say I'm in a world where I can be hurt and attacked, and then I'm hurt or attacked, then that's the proof that I was right about me being in a place where I can be attacked. This is so sane that sometimes it'd be a challenge for us. So you got to ask yourself right now, do you want to be right about all the negative thoughts you have about yourself? Do you want to be right about the idea that you can be destroyed? Do you want to be right that you're guilty? Do you want to be right that you're sinful? Do you want to be right that you can't trust anybody? Do you want to be right that you are alone? Do you want to be right that there is no creator? Do you want to be right that you can never have holy, healing, loving relationships? Do you want to be right about your bank account? Do you want to be right about your body? Do you want to be right about your boss? And ask yourself, do you want to be right more than you want to be happy? Because most people do. Most people want to be right more than they want to be happy. But I'm going to make you out of a lie. Don't hang around me because I'm going to make you out of a lie. I am going to the best of my ability, present a loving person to you so that any part of you that says you can't be loved and can't attract a loving person and you can't be appreciated, I'm going to be a witness that that's a bald-faced lie. So don't come around me if you expect to hear criticism and judgment about how cool you are. Don't come around me. If you need to feel like you're never enough and you'll never be enough and somebody needs to control you, don't come around me. Don't come around me. Don't call me up. Don't visit me. If you want to feel bad about yourself, take me off your contact list. I'm telling you now, because I am not going to witness to the crap that the world teaches you, and I'm not going to witness to the crap you are telling yourself about. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to. That doesn't mean when you're with me, I'm going to correct you. I'm not going to correct you. I'm not going to correct you. You can talk about yourself any kind of way you want to around me. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to remember that you deserve love while you're doing that, because you might need to vent. You might just need to express how you're feeling in the moment. And I trust that the truth in you is as strong as the truth in me, and that same truth is in you that's in me. So you will be corrected by the God within you. And if there's something for me to say to you, I'm going to wait for the most awesome thing to happen. You're going to ask me. You're going to say something like, well, Raj, what you think about that? You know, could you give me another way of looking at that? And I may not. Just because you ask me don't mean I might say anything. I may not feel like it. You might not feel like it. But I might. So I try as much as I can not to correct people, not to fix people, and not to give unsolicited advice. Not to correct people, not to fix people, and not give unsolicited advice. So I don't really enjoy people correcting me, personally. You know, if I'm telling you how I feel, I don't need you to give me your wisdom in that moment without me asking for it, telling me what I need to do and why I need to do it. That is your ego, and I don't try not to listen to ego. So how can I tell when I'm listening to an ego or a false voice? They'll be correcting me without me asking for them to do it. I'll tell you. If you want to end a conversation with Earl Purdy real quick, let Earl Purdy try to express himself to you 2 or 3 times, and you correct him instead of listening to him. You won't have to worry about knowing me at any deeper level. So I don't need to be the person that you practice your wisdom on. All right, apply it to yourself, and then I'll ask you if I need to hear it, and I'll also accept that same thing as being true for me too. Okay. So the Course in Miracles says, under the circumstances, wouldn't it be more desirable to have been wrong? Right. Under the circumstances, if you're putting yourself down and your life is a bunch of crap to you and you don't love it, wouldn't it be more desirable to be wrong? Even apart from the fact that you really are wrong. So the Course in Miracles says, why don't you desire to be wrong since you are? Why don't you be out of conflict with yourself? You desire to be wrong and you are wrong. So why don't you get out of conflict with yourself by simply accepting that you're wrong. Wrong about what? Wrong about thinking you don't deserve love. Wrong about thinking that love is threatening. Wrong about thinking anything about yourself that's not beautiful. Then the Course in Miracles says, well, it could be perhaps be argued that death suggests there was life. If my brother died, it does kind of suggest that my brother must have lived, right? He said, but no one would claim that death proves there is life. Like, in other words, when my brother made his transition, it seemed like it was death. That doesn't prove that there is a continuation of life. So death doesn't prove there is life, even though death can suggest there must have been life. And I see very few people want to give a corpse a big hug. So obviously, except for a few strange people and they're innocent. But beside that, the truth is, and I know, if you've ever been in the presence of a corpse, that corpse is not the person that you loved. And you don't really want to grab the corpse usually and kiss all over the corpse. So you never have been really attracted to the person's body, even though it looks like you were attracted to their body. You really were attracted to the connection that you had with them, the joining that you had with them, the good feelings that you were having with them. And there's another thing I'd like to say too that I can't prove, which is that there's a possibility that since life is eternal, you had a life before this one. And it's possible that our relationships are continuations. And so it's possible that the people that you're forming intimate relationships with, people that you've already had intimate relationships with in other lives or times. And that's another reason why you all would be sometimes irresistibly attracted to each other, because you want to continue the lesson together that you've been working on together. So I believe personally that it's very seldom that anyone has an intimate relationship with anybody that's new. In the Course in Miracles says the reason why we single people out is when you go into a room and you single people out, it says the reason why you're doing that is you're sizing up who you think would be the most capable of fulfilling your needs in that moment. And so the person I think that can fulfill my need in that moment is going to be the one that I'm going to single out of everybody around me. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm looking for a husband and he needs to be less than 40 years old, then anybody over that I'm not going to notice in the room, because the ones that's going to fulfill my need for a relationship with somebody under 40, those are people I'm looking around in the room that's under 40. So the Course in Miracles teaches that the only reason why we single people out is to fulfill some need that we have, more so than because we're trying to join and give love and truth. If I want some good loving at night, I'm going to look for who in the room that I think is going to do it. If I want to go watch a movie, I'm going to try to single out who in the room would like to watch a movie. That's what the Course is saying. We're singling people out because we think they can meet our needs. And so the Course in Miracles then says, no one would claim that death proves there is life. But it says even the past life that death might indicate could only have been futile if it must come to this. It needs this to prove that it was at all. In other words, if you have a past life and you did have a past life, why do you have to keep on dying in order to prove that you have different lives? So why should your life end in death? Do you know that when I was a kid, I used to be a deep kid. I mean, I was really a kid. I was 10 years old. I'd come home from school and take the newspaper out and kick back on the sofa and read it just like a grown man would. I was old when I was young. As a matter of fact, my nickname was Maine. My mother called me Mama's Little Maine. And so everybody started calling me Maine because I act like a man and not like a boy. That's a Southern thing. Southern people don't say man. They say Maine. You're a Maine. Okay, so the truth is that if we have had past lives, why do we need to keep dying just to prove that we have different lives? The Course says you question God, you question heaven, you question love, but you don't really question why you believe in death so much. You don't really question why you think you should suffer so much. You don't question why you are a body. How many times have you really questioned that? When I was a kid, I used to question everything because it didn't make any sense to me. I came into this life remembering that this was not my home, that this was a school of some sort, an insane school. It looked like it was a school for insane souls. That's what I thought when I was a kid. I used to just freak out at how crazy I thought everybody was, because I saw that all we need to do is love each other and share with each other, and all the problems I was hearing about would be gone. And I was a little kid wondering why adults couldn't come to that conclusion. So the Course in Miracles says, you don't question this. It says, yet you could heal and be healed if you did question it. Question what? Question what you are. Question what love is. Question what's creating your reality. Questioning who and what you are. Questioning the beliefs that you were taught since the time you was born. You need to start questioning. When I was a kid and I would try to question things that I saw them saying from the Bible that didn't make sense to me, I was told quite vehemently, don't question the Bible. Don't you ask any questions. Yeah, because you keep people ignorant as long as they can't ask any questions. But the Course in Miracles says you could heal, and you would heal if you did question the idea of death, if you did question the idea of hell and fear, and that you don't deserve to suffer in some way. And even though you don't know what heaven is, even though you don't know what the truth is, even though you don't know what eternal life is, mightn't it be more desirable than death? I mean, even though you might not know what the truth is, might not it be better than dying? See, if the Course in Miracles asks these kind of questions, you might not know what the truth is, but is it a possibility that the truth might be better than pain? That the truth might be better than loneliness and loss and lack and the world that you're looking at right now of fear? He says, well, why is that? He says, well, because you are being very selective in your questions. You're not asking questions that would allow you to be happy. You're asking questions that keep you in fear. Like, what's the next thing that could go wrong? What's the next thing about myself that's not okay? The Course in Miracles says you are very selective in your question, and you're just as selective in your perception. I just choose to see certain things, and I just choose to question certain things. I don't question everything. There are just some things I question, and the main thing I don't question is the belief that I'm guilty, or the belief that I could be hurt, or the belief that I'm about. There are certain things I just don't question. I am a man, and I'm a man named Earl Purdy, and there's nothing for me to question about that. And I'm a man that's not always loving, and there's nothing to question about that. And the Course in Miracles is saying, do y'all know what you need to do? You need to question it. Are you a man, Earl Purdy? Oh, are you? Are you a man, Earl Purdy? Is that what you are? Is that just what you learn to believe you are? And because you learn to believe you're a man, you see yourself as a man. Other people see you as a man who also learn to see you as a man. So are you all really seeing the truth about each other, or are you seeing what you learned about each other? Are you seeing the truth about me, or are you seeing what you learned about me? Am I seeing the truth about women, or am I seeing what I've learned to believe about women? Right? And the Course in Miracles says, my spirit said to me one time, the perfect woman for you, Raj, is the one that doesn't know she's a woman. The one that knows she's a spiritual being having an experience of being a woman. That's the perfect woman. The perfect man for you, Raj, as a friend or any other way you choose to experience one, is one who knows he's a spirit and knows that he is not a man. If you want to make sure you're always dealing with the limiting beliefs that the world has about relationships and everything else, be with a woman or be with a man. Somebody that thinks they're a body and somebody that thinks they're separate, and you're going to have all the ups and downs that everybody else goes through when they're in a relationship. But if you get in touch and you want to be with people who are in male and female bodies, who know they are loved and know they are spirit, then you're not going to be dealing with as much jealousy or insecurity. And there'll be a variety of ways that you can express yourselves with them. You'll be a lot freer. You'll be a lot safer because they don't have a limiting idea of who they are. So the best woman in the world is one that doesn't think she's a woman or wants to know she's even more. And the best man in the world to be hang out with is one who is learning that he is spirit and more than a man, and therefore he can enjoy being a man because he knows he's more than that. And then you're with a woman who can enjoy being a woman because she knows she's more than that. So you all have a lot better experience than if you were a woman who thinks she's a woman and a man who thinks he's a man. Be aware of that. There's a big difference between being a spiritual man and being a spirit that knows they are a man, or being a spiritual woman and being a spirit who is expressing through being a woman. So even on this New Age spiritual path, you're going to meet women who think they're New Age and spiritual, and you're going to meet men who think they're New Thought and spiritual. But if they think they are a man or a woman first, and then they're trying to be spiritual, then you're still dealing with an ego, and you're going to go through the same things you go through with any ego, and there's going to be some periods of separation, misunderstanding, and projection. I mean, spirit just talks to me that way after 40 years. It just goes blink, 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 because I've been working on learning how to let go of the blocks to being able to hear God's voice. So even though I'm reading out of the course book, for years and years now, I've been able to hear the Holy Spirit within myself directly. What the Course in Miracles did was it taught me what the Holy Spirit would say to me, so that I would learn how to recognize that voice when it was just coming from me without the book. Because I can't tell you how many people I've seen go straight over the cliff because they said the Holy Spirit told them to do something, and it wasn't the Holy Spirit that was telling them to do it. It wasn't their higher guide that was telling. It was them coming up with what they wanted to do, and then they said it was God's suggestion that they do it. And so then they go over the cliff. And that's how you know you wasn't really listening to your true Holy Spirit voice, is that you didn't get what you wanted. You ended up suffering. So why did you suffer? I'm going to tell you why you suffered. You're suffering because you're not listening to God's voice. You're listening to yours. You're listening to the voice you're making up and calling it God. If you're ever listening to God's voice, you can't not succeed. How could you be following God and have a failure? Don't you see that that's totally and completely crazy? How could the most infinite intelligence of the universe be guiding you, but all the time you're upset or you're frightened or you're unhappy about something? That's how you know you're listening to yourself. You're listening to yourself with a small y. If you're listening to your true self, whatever you're asking for, you can have right now. If you're listening to your true self, it never is about the future. It's about right now. This is why this section is so intense that we are hearing. And the Course in Miracles says, what is an open mind? It says, an open mind. The Course in Miracles says an open mind is more honest than this. So an open mind is honest. Do you know what the Course in Miracles says honesty is? Honesty is consistency. Honesty is consistency. Honesty is consistency. Honesty is consistency. The Course in Miracles says that if you are honest, you are consistent. That an honest person is consistent. What does it mean to be consistent? It means what you think never conflicts with what you say, never conflicts with what you do. If you're truly being innocent and honest, what you think and what you say and what you do are the same and do not conflict with you. What you think and what you say and what you do does not conflict in you. So an open mind is consistent. An open mind is consistent. An open mind is based on the idea of I do not know everything. I don't know everything. I don't know everything. I don't know everything. An honest mind goes, I do not know. I do not know. I don't know. I don't know. If you are open-minded, you are saying, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So you can tell me, Holy Spirit, because I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You know the way to find me. I don't have to try to find you. I need to stay where I am. If you've ever been lost, a lot of times they'll say, stay right where you are. Stay right. They don't tell you go wander around in the woods while we're trying to locate you. They say stay right where you are. So you don't have to worry about finding God. Doggone it. Let God find you. As a matter of fact, God has found you. The truth has found you. I'm sharing one form of the truth with you right now. And you're where you are right now. And the truth found you right now. Now, do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? Do you want to keep the negative self-images and beliefs that you have about yourself that keep you afraid? Or do you want to be open to perhaps there's another way to look at you that you haven't been using so far? And also, I want you to remember this too. Your old self is going to fight you every step of the way. Your old programming is going to try to make you go to sleep. It's going to try to make you forget this. It's going to try to make you make dumb choices than you've ever made in your life. So all of a sudden you walk right out of here and you'll go right after this and go do the dumbest thing you could ever do so that you can delay yourself because your old self wants to keep that old belief that you suffer alive. So sometimes I used to kind of feel self-conscious sometimes about even teaching the truth because I knew if I told a person they were innocent and they weren't ready to accept they were innocent, they were probably going to do something to make themselves feel more guilty than ever before to prove that they were right about how unworthy and guilty they are. So most of the time when I see people as innocent, I don't say anything to them. I just see them that way because if I tell you you're innocent and you think you're sinful and guilty, you're going to spend a lot of time trying to convince me I'm wrong about saying you're innocent. And you're going to focus on all the things you feel guilty about. So I actually made you feel more guilty by telling you that you were innocent. Does that make sense to everybody? If you think you're guilty and bad and sinful and I tell you that you're good and innocent, then you're going to try to make me wrong. And so you're going to focus even more on your guilt. I'll tell you how you can tell that's true. Let's say if I said to you right now, you're so guilty, you're so bad, you're so sinful, you're so guilty, you're just ridiculously guilty. You're the guiltiest thing I've ever seen. You're more guilty than anybody in the world. You are the guiltiest, most sinful, horrible, bad person that ever lived. It would bring up the part of you that went, oh, well, I'm not that bad. There is something about me that's good. I'm not that horrible. You see what I'm saying? The minute I started to focus on your guilt, what did you do? You leap right to, oh, that's not true, because still you don't want me to be right. We'll never want nobody to be right. So you immediately went to the opposite viewpoint, which was, no, I'm not that bad. I'm pretty innocent, right? So what is the Course doing? It's doing just the opposite. It's saying you're whole, you're complete, you're innocent, you're eternal, you're always loved no matter what. And there's nothing you can do to lose eternal love, right? So I tell you you're innocent, you're innocent, you're innocent, you're innocent, you're innocent, you're innocent, you're innocent. What does that do? It makes you think about everything that you've ever done that you could ever feel guilty about. But you don't know what I did prom night. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what I just did last week. See, that's the thing. So a lot of times, if you're going to see people in a loving way, and you want to do that with people who you know don't love themselves yet, then you don't tell them they're innocent. You just remember they're innocent, and you just see them as innocent. But what you can do, not to really create so much opposition, what you can do is treat them like they're innocent. I can treat you like you're valuable. I can treat you like you deserve love. I don't have to say you deserve love, and you go, no, I don't. I can be kind to you, caring with you. I could be a safe person for you to be with. All that would be showing you that you are a worthy person, that you are deserving. And that's how you undermine people's wrong perceptions of themselves, or that hell or oblivion that they made up for themselves. You be a living, walking, talking witness that they're wrong about, thinking that they don't deserve love because you treating them so doggone good. Because you treating them so good. Woo! Lord have mercy, 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 mercy. Take a breath. Take a breath. All right, I'm going to do a recap of what I have covered because I want to make sure that we hear the main points of what we heard today. I also want to thank you as a full-time teacher. I want to thank you for any financial expressions of appreciation or donations that you give to my teaching ministry. If you want to do that, then you can go to my website, www.earlpurdy.com, earlpurdy.com. And I want to thank all of you who have been generous with me on every level that you've been generous on me. Remember, we are sustained by the love of God. You're sustained by the love of God. Everybody in your life, everything in your life is just a channel. It's not the source. Everyone is a channel. They're not the source. So don't ever forget that every good thing that comes to you comes from love. It comes from God. It comes from your Creator. So I'm thanking all of you who choose to be channels to share with me. But I never confuse you with you're the one that's actually where my good is ultimately coming from, because you might not decide to do that. And so if I saw it coming through any individual, I could be up the creek. But I know God is consistent in my life. I've been doing this over 30-something years, full time. So you can imagine how many different people I've seen. in 30 years. But God has continued to provide, and I'm not special. I'm not loved by God any more than you are. So that means that you're just as capable of receiving blessings as I am. You can go to the ocean with a teaspoon or a bucket. The ocean doesn't care. So if you're just limiting yourself in what you receive from God, that doesn't mean that God is giving you any less than God gives me or anybody else. You need to work on your receiving, because that's where most people suck, is in their ability and their capacity to receive. And that's what I'm working on right now, because I'm dealing with my upper limit right now in terms of the blessings and the love. Who would have thought right in the middle of all this stuff going on that I would have experienced more obvious proof and witness that God is real in my life than any other time since I've been doing this. I'm kind of freaked out, by the way, because I've been seeing so many, experiencing so many obvious demonstrations that the Course in Miracles and everything that it's teaching is true. And also I'm available for one-on-one sessions, coaching, advising, helping. I've been an astrologer and a numerologist from the level of soul purpose and higher consciousness. I'm not a fortune teller. Since before I got into the Course in Miracles. And so I take all my 40 years of experience in working with people with the Course in Miracles and also my knowledge of soul purpose, astrology, and numerology, and I bring it into the personal sessions that we have together called clarity sessions. Only people who have open minds and resonate to me need apply, okay? Because you never want to be working with somebody that doesn't want to work with you. You don't want to be in a relationship with somebody that doesn't want to be in a relationship with you and who's open to you. If you get in a relationship with a person that doesn't trust you, instead of using the relationship to grow and evolve, you're just mostly using the relationship to try to prove to each other that you can trust each other. So if I'm trying to prove to you that you can trust me on this trip that we're getting ready, this road trip we're getting ready to make, and I'm spending all my time trying to get you to trust me, then we're not on the road trip. You know, we're not moving toward our goal if we're spending all our time trying to trust each other. So I don't tend to want to do things with people that don't trust me or people who are not open to me. It just wastes too much time. It really does. But the part of you that doesn't love you will especially seek out the people who don't really fulfill your needs. Because if I don't believe I deserve to have my needs met or loved, then I'm certainly not going to choose a friend or a partner that's going to be supportive and loving to me. So your partner, your friends are the best examples you can have of what you think about yourself. I'll say it again. Your partners, your friends, who you hang out with, who are your lovers, who are your teachers, the people you spend time with, the people you give your attention to are your consciousness. They are your consciousness. They are what you believe about yourself. Now, some people, when they hear that, that really excites them. Some people behind that, they're quite depressed right now in terms of what I just said, because they don't believe they're anything like the people that they're hanging around. But why are they around you? If they're really that different from you, why is the angry person, the racist person, the person that doubts, why is that person around you? Well, it's because they represent thoughts that you have that you don't know about. That's all they represent. Thoughts that you have that you may not know about. Doesn't make you guilty, doesn't make you bad, it just makes you unaware. Woo! So Thursdays at 7 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time on the Earl Purdy page on Facebook. I do hardcore Course in Miracles. And then on Sundays at 1 p.m. I do the Course in Miracles on Facebook Live on the Earl Purdy page. I want to ask you to do something. Would you do something for me? Would you share these videos? Would you share these videos on your timeline, on YouTube, and groups? Because that would help get the message out there. We're at a time where we need to hear new thoughts. And we need to have some loving thoughts in this world. You can't sit back and expect everything to change unless you change. I got a saying on my mirror at home that goes, don't argue with the mirror. And it says everything to me. Don't argue with the mirror. See, everybody's a mirror to me now. So I'm not going to argue with anybody about anything because they're just reflecting back to me what I believe anyway. So I just have to decide if I want to keep on supporting that idea. Does that make sense? You may be saying stuff to me that I believe that I no longer want to believe. Then what must I do? I must start telling myself something different. And I need to start being around people who are also telling themselves the same thing in something different. It's not complex, it's not rocket science, but your old self, your ego, the part that thinks that your life is based on destruction and fear and unhappiness, that part of you is going to try to make everything I say sound crazy. It's going to say that dude said some crazy stuff, or it's going to say, I don't understand what he said, or it's going to say, yes, but. So let's go back a little bit. All right. Woo! This is called, I love the name of this song. It's a great name. It's a great name. It's a great name. Guess what the name of this song is? Smell the light. I love that. Smell the light. I love that. Isn't that cool? Smell the love. Smell the wealth. Can you smell your wealth? Can you smell your wealth? Can you smell your abundance? Can you smell your health? Can you smell your wealth? Can you smell your peace? Can you smell your joy? What does your joy smell like? What does your peace smell like? What does your prosperity and love smell like? What does your God smell like? What does your God smell like? What does love smell like? Now listen to me now, 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 listen to me now. Your function is to get rid of all fear in yourself or in others. Your function is to create before it's too late. It's time to create. It's never too late. There's a part of you that tells you that your function is just to mess up stuff. All you do is destroy stuff. And one day I'm going to bury you right here. And you don't deserve to be loved. And I'm going to prove to you that you don't deserve love. That part of you says, I'm going to attract you to the person that is the opposite to you in every way and opposes you in every way. I'm going to get you to apply for a job that you're going to hate every second that you're on it because you don't deserve to be satisfied. I'm going to attract you to the worst mate that you could ever date to show you that you cannot be loved. And you have to realize that if you keep giving yourself those painful experiences, it's because that pain and upset is more acceptable to you than God is, than love is. Wow. Do you know your definition of love and with all its restrictions and scripts and judgments? That is hell. The Course says that we believe that the greatest threat that we could experience is real love. The Course in Miracles says what else? It says hell and fear and guilt are ideas you've made up, that you can't be loved and you can't be happy. That is an idea you made up. And you have to stop being bent on demonstrating that your negative ideas are true. Your reality is not a reality that you have to be hurt in. Your reality doesn't have to be a reality that you have any lack or attack in. Would you rather be happy than to have to be right? Would you rather be happy than feeling you have to be right? Under the circumstances that we're going through right now, if you think you deserve any kind of pain or you don't love yourself the way you should, wouldn't it be more desirable to have been wrong? If you think you are guilty, and you think you are guilty or sinful, you are wrong. If you think you don't deserve love, if you think you don't deserve love, you are wrong. If you think you are a body and that you die, if you think you are a body and only die, you are wrong. You are wrong, you are wrong. If you think you have to be limited, unfulfilled, if you think it's not okay for you to feel a deep, deep thrill, you are wrong. You are wrong. You don't have to believe that death is your end. You don't have to believe that death is your end. You have eternal life and it is within. Your physical death is not your end. There's a spirit inside you within. Teach only love, for that is what you are. Teach only love, for that is what you are. Would you like to just pretend for a minute that there's nothing missing in you? There's nothing missing in you. So what is the function of time? What is the function of time? Is to use time to remember the things that you've heard today. Use your time to study the truth, to practice the truth, to let go of those old limiting beliefs that you have about yourself. Because I'm going to make you out of a lie. I'm going to make you out of a lie until the day that you think that you die. I'm going to make you out of a lie until that time you think that you're going to die. How am I going to do that? I'm going to show you that you deserve love, that that's all you deserve. So any part of you that doesn't believe that believes you don't deserve to be loved, I'm going to be right up in your face. So like I said before, don't you contact me. I don't want you calling me if you think that I'm going to support any negative ideas you have about yourself. I'm going to make your ego out of a lie. That's what I'm going to do. Mighty companion. Yes, thank you, thank you. That felt so good. That felt so good. No. Don't do that. Don't. Mighty companions. 4 times, watch this or listen to it at least 4 times, and may the course be with you.